Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is the second video of the data science series, and in this video we will be going to see the operation on 2D array using Numpy. Okay, but before proceeding we will see some, we will revise the previous chapter, operation with 1D array or working with the Numpy arrays. So I will not go in detail, but I will just give you a brief what we did in previous video. So let me go ahead and create a new file here. I will take a Jupyter file. Okay, and as you know, to create a to work with Numpy, we have to import the Numpy module. So we will import the Numpy module. So I will say import Numpy as np. Okay, now let me create a list, okay, of some random number. So I will say something like 200, 178, 450, 490, 123, 60. Okay, so this is a simple list of numbers containing some numbers. You can imagine this number to be anything, okay, height or something, anything. Okay, now suppose I only want the numbers which is greater than 200. Okay, so if we are working if we are working with a simple list, what we have to do, we have to use list comprehension or for loop to perform this operation. Okay, but suppose you are dealing with a lot of data, so in that case using the for loop is not a good option because that will take much time. So what we'll do, I will simply convert it into Numpy array. How we can do that? I will say list np equal to np dot array. So as in previous video we saw, np dot array is a function which converts the list or the objects to np array. Okay, so I will pass the list, the name of the list. Okay, now let's go ahead and try to print this list. So when I try to print this list, okay, the list got printed, but the type of the list will be list. Okay, when you go ahead and type the list, the type will be list. Okay, but when we talk about Numpy arrays, so when I go ahead and write like this, so it is, as you can see, it's Numpy array. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a subset from this list. Okay, so how we can create a subset? It's very easy. Suppose you only want numbers that is greater than 200. So first let me print this Numpy array. Okay, so I have printed it like 200, 178, 450, 490. We want value which is only greater than 200. Okay, or say value which is less than 200. We want values which is less than 200. So let's go ahead and write something like list np less than 200 and try to run this. As you can see, we got a array. So first value we are getting false because 200 is not less than 200. Okay, so it's false, makes sense. 178 we are getting true because 178 is less than 200. So as we can see, we are getting a boolean list of the values which are less than 200, it's saying 2, and which is greater than or equal to 200, it's saying false. Okay, so how to create subset from this? We can simply say list call anything below 100 or something, give a name. Okay, and I will say I want a list and I want a subset of this list where list element are list okay, I have to write list np here, sorry, list, okay, is less than 200. Okay, now when I print this list below 100, I will get output like 178, 123 and 124. So as you saw, this is much easier to create a subset of a list. Okay, so let's go ahead and revise this concept once. Okay, अभी तक हम लोगों ने क्या किया है, अभी तक हम लोगों ने एक लिस्ट बनाया। ओके, लिस्ट बनाने के बाद हम लोगों ने उस लिस्ट को नंपाई अरे में कन्वर्ट किया। ओके, एंड देन हम लोगों ने उस लिस्ट का सबसेट निकाला है। ओके, द नंबर्स विच आर बिलो 100। ओके, so now let's go ahead and talk about 2D arrays, what 2D arrays are, how to deal with 2D arrays. Okay, so before that let me open my whiteboard. Okay, so before proceeding with the concept of 2D array, let's revise, go ahead and revise the concept of matrix. Okay, so suppose you are having a values in row and column, so we can define it in matrix as we know. So suppose there is value called A, B, C, D. So this is of course the first column, this is the first column, this is the second column, this is the first row, and this is the second row. So it's a 2 into 2 matrix. Why 2 into 2 matrix? Because there are two rows and two columns. Okay, so we write rows first and column into last. So we write like R into C. So suppose you are having something, let's suppose I can say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Okay, so this is a 3 into 2 matrix. Okay, why? Because the number of rows are 3 and the number of 3 into 3 matrix, because the number of rows is also 3 and number of column is also 3. To make it 3 into 2, I will simply erase this. Okay, so sorry, I am little bad at using whiteboards. Okay, so let me delete this now. So this is a 3 into 2 matrix. Okay, why? Because there are 3 rows and 2 columns. Okay, now let's talk about the indexing. So how indexing starts? It's start like 0 and 0, because this is the 0th row and the 0th column. Indexing will start with like 0 0, then it will become 0 and 1. So 0th row first column, it means, then 1 0 first row and 0 column, 1 1 first row first column, second row 0 column, second row first column, and so on. So this denotes the row, this denotes the row, and this denotes the column. Okay, so what is the value of if you suppose it's ARR, so what is the value of ARR 1 1? And someone asks you, so the value of ARR will 1 1 will be E. Why? Because it's the first row and the first column. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to implement in this code. Okay, so let me create a 2D array first. So what I will do, I will modify the list little bit. I will say, suppose we are having a list which contains height and the weight of a player. So I will say player detail equal to, I will take some values in, suppose this is the weight and this is the height. Okay, now let's at least take 2 or 3 values so that it will be easy for us to understand. Okay, I will change the values. I will say 80, 190, 60, 145, 140 or something. Okay, so this is just simple. Let's print this player detail. Okay, now let's print this. So as you can see, it's a collection of tuples under a list. So this is how we can take a demonstration of 2D arrays. So if we do something like, let me do something like np plist equal to np dot array, and then I will simply pass the name of the list. So I will say player list, player det. Okay, and when you print this np list, see, we are getting values like 75, 170, 80, 190, 60 and 140. Okay, so let me open my whiteboard here. So let me go ahead, click this, control delete. Okay, so let's write here. Okay, so what I will do, 75, 170, 80, then 190, 60, then 140. Okay, now if you try to print, let's do the indexing first. Okay, so I will use red for the row number, so 0 1 and 1 1 and 2 1. Okay, sorry, this is the 0th row, this is the second row, and this is the, what I'm doing, sorry, let me erase all this. Okay, sorry for a mistake, apologies for that. So this is the first row, so row will be 0, and this is the second row, so the row number will be 1, and this is the second row, so the row number will be 2. Now talking about the column, this is the 0th column, this is the first column, again this is the 0th column, this is the first column, this is the 0th column, and this is the first column. So if you try to just to cross verify this, if you go ahead and print something like say np list, and I will say something like 1 1. Okay, now when I print this, it's giving us the index error, I forgot the comma. Okay, now let's go ahead and print it. As you can see, 190 is printed, and if you see the whiteboard, the index of 190 is 1 1. Okay, so this is how we access 2D array. So row will be start from 0, and the column will also start from 0, so it will like 0 0 0 1, 1 0 1 1, 2 0 2 1, and so on. Okay, so now let's go ahead and check some basic functions. So like I want to print the dimension of this, so I will say nplist.dim. so dim stand for dimension. Okay, am I missing something? Okay, why the dimension is not getting printed? Is it ndim? Oh sorry, it's ndim. Okay, so as you can see, it's printing 2 because it's a 2-dimensional array. Okay, now let's go ahead and try the shape. So when we print the shape, it's 3 into 2. So as I told you earlier, it's a 3 into 2. It's a 3 into 2 matrix because there are 3 rows and 2 columns. Okay, now for sake of understanding, let's go ahead and put some more values in this list. Okay, so I will go ahead and copy some data. This is a random data. Okay, now let's suppose I want to know how many elements are in my list or in my array, in my NP array. So let me rerun this. Okay, now you can see there are 108 rows and 2 columns in this list. okay, in this np matrix we can say. Okay, so let's go ahead and print the length of this. So I will say length np list, and when you run this, you can see like there are 108 elements and 108 players, you can say, in this player list. Okay, so let's get a comment number of players. Okay, rerun this. Okay, suppose next requirement is to okay, so let's go ahead and convert the first element is width and the second element is height in centimeters. So let's go ahead and convert these into let's say convert the weight into pound. Okay, so what we can do, we can say like player converted equal to, we have to like convert the weight into pound. So what we'll do, we'll copy this name of the list and do something like, so to convert weight into pound we have to multiply it by 2, and for height we don't want anything, so I will just put 1. So 1 multiplied anything, it will not affect my array. Okay, and I will simply run this. Okay, so now when you go ahead and print this pl converted, so as you can see, we are getting weights now in pounds instead of kg. Okay, so now the weight is in pound. So you can see how easy is to convert these values. Suppose you want to convert the height also into the meters, so instead of 2,1 we can say, to convert to meters we have to multiply it by something like what we can say 0.254 or something, if I am not wrong. Let me go ahead and verify. Okay, yes, we have to multiply it with by 0.0254. okay, so now the height will be converted into meters. So when I now run this, you can see the weight become in pounds and the height become in meters. Okay, now let's do some more operations on this converted list. Okay, so what we can do, let's suppose we want to print the players whose weight weight is, where weight is say less than 150. okay, we only want the player whose weight is 150. so how we can achieve that, we will say light players, or we can say light players equal to, I will say something like players converted, so pl converted. okay, and I will create a subset. So I have already told you how to create a subset. So I will write pl converted. okay, we want all the rows, so I will put colon for the rows, and we want the first element of each row. So weight is stored in first column of each row. So okay, weight is stored in first column of each row. So I will write like semicolon and 0, so that we will have access of the first column, means 0th column of each row, and I will put the condition like less than 150. okay, so now if you go ahead and print these light players, how many light players we have, so we got a list. okay, now let's go ahead and try to run the shape again. okay, so light players dot shape. when I run this, you get the value like where we are having 66 player whose height is less than 150. Okay, so this is how we work on 2D arrays in NumPy array. Okay, let's see some of the more concepts. Like you want every column but of the only first row. So how can I write first row, and in column we want all the columns. Okay, so when I print this, I got the first row and the both column. Okay, and how this array is represented, the first element of the column is width and the second is height. Okay, so suppose if we want to fetch only heights of the first row, so I can write 1 and the first. Okay, so when I write this, I only get the height of the first row player. Okay, hope you understood the video. If you have any confusion, you can ask in the comment section. I will be happy to help you. Okay, in next video we are going to look at pandas, what is pandas and how to work with pandas. Till then, bye bye.